Welcome to This Daily Life, the show that talks about the many issues that are part and parcel of our daily lives. One of the facts that we're faced with constantly today is that skills and hard work are not the only variables for success. The way we look, the way we carry ourselves is becoming more and more important in our personal and professional lives. On today's show, we talk about the pressures of looking good. And to talk more about it, we have with us Gopika Pillai, a well-known makeup artist and hairstylist. But before I talk to you, Gopika, we spoke to some people on their views about looking good, and this is what they had to say.
I think it's very important. I think style defines the man. I think both at work and when you're out socially. I think what you wear defines how people look at you and how people interact with you. I think that's crucial, not just for how you look, but how you feel inside. The better you feel inside, the better you look outside, and the better, more confident you feel at work and at play.
Well, there is a pressure because obviously if you're not looking good, you'll not be able to carry yourself confidently. Same, I mean, it goes hand in hand. If you have to look good, you have to go to the parlor, and you just can't, I mean, you can obviously do certain homemade techniques as well, but it is certainly important for you to go get your hair set or your facial done or something like that, and then only you could get that kind of a glow. So, and if one of your friend is looking wonderful and you're not looking good, so obviously it is a setback for everyone, for you, yourself and the crowd.
I think there always is like this competition. It's not really announced as a competition, but you always want to look better than the other person, and I think today we're going out of our way to look good. I'm not embarrassed to say I get a manicure, I get a pedicure, I go for a haircut every month, and obviously shopping, you have to be very selective and you can't go for generic goods. So I think designer wear is very important because it's not something that everyone else is wearing. So that makes you unique, and I think that's important.
I think many aspects that have come out from our conversation. Gopika, do you agree that people want to look good and there is a sense of competition to look better than the person next to you?
I do see a lot of change because earlier it was more people who were getting ready for their weddings who would come to get makeup done. Now I have a lot of girls, I mean women of all ages, coming to learn how to do their own makeup. You know?
So that you can do it every day or on a routine basis.
So they can do it either for some function or for the office. And especially with the TV bringing in with so many new channels, a lot of the latest trends are brought to our Indian viewers, So they do want to dress the same way. Yes, they do want to learn how to do that and dress the same way.
I'd like to bring in Arpita Anand, our expert psychologist, on the show. Arpita, through the views that people shared with us, as well as what Gopika is saying, that there is a sense of, well, maybe not competition, maybe a very strong word, but something similar to it, even among friend circle. That kind of peer pressure to look a certain way, to wear certain clothes.
And I think that's primarily happening, Tanvi, because there is this emphasis on looking good. And, as everyone in the visuals said, that they all acknowledge. And I don't think that it's anything to be shy about anymore. Yeah. Everybody's actually flaunting the fact that they really want to look good. And why not? Because I think looking good has a lot to do with feeling good. And there's a reverse relationship as well, which we can talk about later. But that competitiveness is bound to come in because no matter what element that you're focusing on, your peer group becomes an important standard with whom you relate, and you're able to just kind of judge for yourself. So obviously the friends are the closest sets of people. We also know that the whole concept of peer pressure exists with pretty much everything, the way you're looking, the way you dress, what you do with your time, the way you party, where you party. So why should the looking component be left out of it? And I think a part of it is just healthy competition. It's all right. It boosts your self-esteem and your self-confidence. But I think there are some dangers that might be involved in it as well.
Well, I'd like to introduce Jaspreet as well. You're an ex-model, you run a modeling agency, you're a counselor as well. So looking good is pretty much a part and parcel of your life. Have you seen things changing over the past couple of years? Is the pressure much more today than it was ever before?
Things started getting changed from the year, I would say, 94. 93, 94, when Sushmita Sen got Miss Universe, and in 94, same year, Aishwarya also got Miss World. From that time till today, India is actually doing very well on the international scene. So yes, the pressure is increasing and increasing every day. Yeah.
It is, absolutely. Gopika, what are the age groups that come to you? What are the things they come to you with?
Oh, I have a lot of age groups coming to me.
Yeah.
I mean, like from maybe 18 till 55.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually the 45 plus is more for when they're attending their daughter's wedding or going for a wedding function. They don't come for just a party makeup when they're just attending a party. But I have lots of girls coming when they're attending a big bash or when there's a party where there's a theme to the party. You know,
so they want to come and dress up.
Yeah, come and dress up to basically look good. And
do daughters bring in their mothers as well, saying,
yes,
work on my mom?
Yes, lots of them. Yeah,
they do.
Especially for their own weddings, they want their moms also to get ready and look nice for them.
And those times are gone when mothers would just be running around Harris trying to make sure everything is looking good.
No, they still find time to come and get ready. Yeah.
Arpita, is it then going into every aspect of society? It's not just limited to, like we're talking about peer pressure. It's not just peer pressure. It's probably just a pressure on various generations to look a certain way or to keep up with the latest looks.
I think that what is also beginning to happen is that there's this focus on pretty much everything that you do in your life largely depends on the way you look, and because those initial impressions are largely created by the way you look, that also tends to happen. But I also think that another trend that I often notice is that some people who become over focused on their looks tend to not have too many other things that might be going on in their life, and as a result the aspect that they focus on or nurture on becomes only the look. So I think that we have to look at this across the board, that there are some people who are able to integrate the physical component with other aspects of their personality, whereas some other people who are only focusing on the physical aspect and missing out on nurturing other aspects.
Absolutely. Do you have young girls or women coming to you or men coming to you who you feel are just completely obsessed? I mean, maybe somebody who comes to you every week or,
Some of them, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. True, even I don't think that's very healthy.
And that there are people who do that.
Yeah.
And what is the age group who's probably more obsessed with looking good?
As they get older.
Oh, they get more obsessed as they get older. I would assume that it's the teenagers who come in more, or young people.
No, because the teenagers anyway have healthy skin. They have everything. They don't need much makeup. As you get older, it's the 35 plus where you feel you need to do something more to look better. So
nobody really wants to age very gracefully today.
Definitely not. No.
What's your personal view on it, though?
No, I also feel that as you get older, the more makeup you put on, the older you look.
Okay.
Yes.
Doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't always work to make you look younger. But if you apply it just the right way, by just enhancing just your eyes or just, there's a technique to it. If you do it well, then definitely you can bring out the best in you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't hide behind makeup.
You can't hide. Well, we have Sylvie with us, a celebrity makeup artist, celebrity in her own right. What are your views on the subject? I know we're going to talk more later on in the show, but what do you feel about people wanting to age more gracefully or the kind of pressure there is to look good?
Well, honestly, the whole thing has to come from inside, bottom line. And what Gopika says and what the guest out here says is pretty right. There is a lot of pressure on people who want to look good, but then it's not always that we creative people who can always make them good by them thinking that by coming to us for makeup and for hairstyling, that it's not always that we have that God touch in us. The fact is that they have to master it. You know what I mean? They have to master the art of what we are doing in their own little way. So
it's not about a magic wand.
It's not about a magic wand, And what Goka says is pretty right, that the more makeup you put, you cannot look more beautiful. That's not true. The lesser makeup, the better, but the technique's true. But the fact here is that there's a lot more than just makeup and hair. There's a lot more just makeup and hair. It's behind the scenes that bring the beauty out also. True. So that's also a bottom line. That's also a main thing, your diet, the many things
in fact, newspapers are full of it today. I mean, you open the newspaper and there'll be some healthy diet or what to eat or what not to eat. That in itself can be very confusing because every third day the papers themselves contradict each other,
Yeah,
one day tomatoes are healthy, the next day they're not.
So one must know exactly what goes with their bodies, with their metabolisms. That's important. from there.
Do young people take that into consideration? Because you're looking good in any case, there's very little you have to do.
No, there's a lot of young people who take that into consideration.
Yeah?
Today, in fact, it's a booming business. The gyms are booming,
Yeah.
all the places are booming, all the health clubs are booming. In fact, now there's latest trends called spas,
Yeah,
which
true.
was never before back there.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things to look good just, in other different ways. So it's basically leading a healthy life in which way we think it's healthy, because my healthy may not be healthy to other people, you know what I mean? That way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Arpita, it's probably big business as well, and maybe Jaspreet will agree too, that looking good has now become a bigger business than ever before.
It certainly has, and I think what is happening is that there are also a lot more services that are available today than there ever were before. So let's say, for example, if we're talking about this trend and the pressure to look good, there are things that are available that people can actually maximize on, like the gyms or the spas or makeup artists that people can go to professionally to learn things. But what's also very, very, very important to recognize in all of this is how largely the trends are also changing in a positive way. Like, for example, the concept of gyms coming in, that people are learning to recognize that to get that healthy glow, it's not just okay to just put something on from the top. You have to actually get on that treadmill, and it's going to do you more good than anything else. So I think that those are also healthy attitudes that are beginning to filter in because of the awareness that's being created about looking good.
Are there people who come in and say, I want to look like that, or I want to look like this?
Yeah,
and
all
is
the,
that
all the time, yes.
Yeah?
They do give reference to pictures, and a lot of girls want to look like Jennifer Lopez. Or they want to look like Rani Mukherjee. These are the two main
hot faces this year.
Yeah. Not just this year, for the last 2-3 years.
For the last 2-3 years. What about the guys? What do they want their girlfriends' wives to look like?
There are some men who come and say, before the bride comes in to get ready, they do come and say, this is what I want my bride to look like.
Oh, so the men have a take on it as well?
Yes, there are some of them who come. And it's nice because they're showing that interest. But when they start saying, I wanted to look 3 shades fairer and whatever, then
that happens as well?
Yes, that also happens, yes. But it's nice that the men are also taking a little bit of interest,
And what about themselves? Do men come in and say that, okay, I want to look 3 shades lighter?
Not 3 shades lighter, but there are some bridegrooms who come and get just the foundation done.
Done, they do?
Yes, on the day of the wedding, yes.
Well, looking good is something which is probably positive, but then where to draw the line? These are some of the things we're talking about in today's show. Thank you, Gopika, for coming and talking, and we will continue our discussion as the show goes along. But we're going to take a short break. After the break, 2 upcoming models with some prestigious assignments under their belt. We talk to them and see what they had to say.
भाई मैं खुले में करने का शौक नहीं है, समझ गए आप? ये हिंदुस्तान है, हिंदुस्तान। आदमी पे ना तरह तरह के प्रेशर होते हैं, प्रेशर में आके करना पड़ जाता है। अब हर चीज़ तो आपके हाथ में होती नहीं है ना, ये तो नेचुरल है। नहीं, आप बताइए, आपके ऊपर प्रेशर पड़ेगा तो क्या कंट्रोल कर लोगे? करना पड़ेगा। हालात ही ऐसे हो जाते हैं कभी कभी।
ये पूरे आज पब्लिक प्लेस में शू करने वालों को लाइन पे लाने का रेड FM 93.5 द्वारा बजाते रहो।
Today we ask, is Delhi at the cusp of being able to discuss alternative sexuality openly?
I do see a change in attitude. I do see a change in the way society is looking at people who are gay.
I think the society basically is very homophobic. People make fun, they snigger.
I mean, I as a lesbian feel like it's a dream shattered for me. I mean, when I was growing up, I would attend weddings and I would see the bride and I'd be like, oh my God, someday this is what's going to happen to me.
The Secret Lives of Delhi, Sunday night at 9:30 on NDTV Metro Nation.
I want the world to know that India has arrived. I want the world to feel the force of 1 billion dreams. Join the force. let's all be Force India.
Force India, Formula One team.
Welcome back to this Delhi Life. On today's show, we're talking about the pressures of looking good. And who better to talk about it than two upcoming models? You've got Chandrika and Sumit with us. Welcome to the show. Chandrika, I'll start with you. What made you get into this industry?
Okay, I won't really say that it was inside me from the very beginning. No, it wasn't there. I was this, fat child. So you can see whatever you're seeing of me today, you can just add 12 kgs onto it. So I was this fat child completely into academics and all that. And then, you won't really believe this, but it was my mother who cajoled me, who really, made me feel that I could get into this industry if I worked hard on my looks. So my story is a little different from what others have to say, other youngsters have to say probably, because I wasn't the one who did it out of, myself. No, it's there inside me, so I want to look good. It wasn't like that. For me, it was the other way around. My mom made me feel that, probably I could get into the industry.
So, you said you've lost 12 kgs or more or whatever, and did you feel the pressure or did you enjoy that whole process?
Both, actually, because I was overweight, but I had this nice and sweet face or whatever, so I kept getting compliments all my life, but at the same time people used to add that, I wish you were a little more thin, I wish you were a little more thin. So that really got to me, and then finally I hit the gym one fine day. And after that, after the entire process of rigorous workouts and diet and this and that, which was a bit too much, because at the end of it, my gym instructor told me that come back after 2.5 months because you've lost too much of weight. Yeah, so there was probably, as she was saying, there is a negative side to it as well.
You got completely obsessed by it?
Yeah, I was completely obsessed by it, and makeovers and makeup and all that came later. Initially, it was more to do with my health. It did have an adverse effect on me. I wouldn't say it didn't, because losing 12 kgs in 2 months is not a joke.
You lost 12 kgs in 2 months?
Yeah, actually 1.5 months, and my gym instructor went crazy because I was working out, diet, and took medicines. There's a thing called Herbalife which came in, so I was on that also. So, all these things did have an adverse effect on me.
How old were you when you got into, you wanted to lose weight?
This year itself.
Oh, this year. And how old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
No, 23. Okay. But this is on camera. Okay, so
Proof you can't fake it a couple of years down the line.
No, I can't. Okay, so I was working in Sony initially. So, I was talking about this phase where I was a little plump and all that. So, I was working over there. I quit my job in Jan. I did this theatre acting course, which probably I don't want to mention over here. And after that, I got into the gym. I hit the gym. I did my diet.
But you said it had an impact on your health in some way.
Definitely, because my gym instructor told me that, excuse me, just go back and come back after 2.5 months because you've lost too much of weight. You have to eat the right kind of food. Diet no more, don't do that, don't take all these pills and etc. etc.
And what was your parents' reaction to it, your mother's reaction?
After I lost too much of weight, my mom was like, oh my god, what happened to my daughter? And then she started, feeding me and this and that, and now it's more or less come back to normal. Now it's perfectly fine. So I'm back to
you mentioned medicines, that you took to help you lose weight and stuff, but were they recommended to you or was it just off the shelf on your own?
No, you have this thing called Herbalife, and well, I'm not promoting Herbalife over here, sorry, but it's just that, there's this friend of mine who was into this business. You have these things called Amway and all that, where you have these promoters and all of that. So they somehow managed to influence, or my mom or something, and that's how I got to take it. But it didn't really help me.
It wasn't a doctor recommending it, or
no, it was not. In fact, when I went back to my doctor, she said, "What the hell? Why did you take this?" So it's not
absolutely.
Really. I'm not saying that it's something that is bad for health or something. It's just that it didn't suit my body.
So. Absolutely, and it wasn't under medical supervision, so what kind of dosage? Arpita, I'd like to bring you in at this point. Arpita Anand is our expert psychologist. Arpita, you get this pressure to look a certain way, and Chandrika went whole hog and maybe went to the other extreme for a bit.
Yeah, in fact, I was wondering, Chandrika, how do you feel now that you've lost huge amounts of weight, and now that, people around up may be telling you the exact opposite, you've lost too much, eat. Are you able to get into a more disciplined way of eating, or is there anxiety that's associated with eating food and then getting on the scale and maybe saying a half a kilo go up? Is any of that happening now?
No, actually, I lost too much of weight initially, and after that I had to eat a lot, to just get back to normal. And after that, when probably I was just perfect, After that was just compliments all the way. So definitely I feel much better now. Confidence level has gone up. So everything has been nice from that period onwards.
Well, that's fantastic. And Chandrika, you are one of the lucky few, because what tends to happen with a lot of people who are overweight and tend to lose too much weight in short amounts of time like this is that there's a very high risk that they carry of developing a lot of problems. For example, eating disorders, which we constantly hear about. And what tends to happen is that because obviously the kind of reaction that you get from people once you lose a lot of weight is so positive that there's a thrill that comes along with it, that even 100 grams of increase of weight can create enormous amounts of anxiety. So, you know, if we're a little up and down, people like you and I may not bother, but for somebody who's been there and then gotten to the other extreme might find it very difficult. Also, this whole thing about over-the-counter pills for weight loss, I think it's just way too dangerous, and I think there are effective ways of being able to lose your weight and maintain a healthy lifestyle. And I think I can't emphasize the need enough to say that, you know, you can go get the right kind of help from a set of professionals, but people need to be extremely wary that they can develop very life-threatening conditions if they don't take care.
Absolutely. If you do need some kind of medical intervention, then it should definitely be under some kind of supervision and not, like you said, over-the-counter drugs, which can have very serious impact on your health and various aspects of, you know, liver and many other things. So, Sumit, what about you? You know, you've got into this field, and was the pressure to look good more when you were in school and college, or has it increased many-fold now that you're in this industry?
It's not just about being in this industry, rather the pressure is more for everyone now, because at that point of time, I mean, it was important to look good, but it was like guys look good just otherwise. Like, I mean, if they are good, they look good if they just carry themselves well. But now today, it's all about getting your face packs and all done, your hair packs and all done, and you have to look good. You have to dress well. I mean, it's like initially it was very feminine. Everyone used to think that it's just confined to women. But today, like Fair and Handsome, I mean, things are coming like Fair and Handsome. Because
and Shah Rukh Khan is promoting
it. So it means pressure on guys is really, I mean, everyone. I mean, this has happened in a phased manner. Initially, just has happened that like some boys who were doing it were like, लड़कियों की तरह चलता है. But eventually now, even those guys who are saying like that, now
are going to the parlor.
Exactly, even they are going to the parlor, they're imitating them. So the pressure is immense on guys now, because everyone wants to look good. And you must
the metrosexual man is in big time.
Metrosexual man, rather retrosexual now.
What about you? You know, do you frequent the parlor and hit the gym? I'm sure being in this industry, you have very little choice in the matter.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go to gym every day, and it's not just about going to gym. You have to keep good inside as well. Like I do pranayam and I do breathing exercises for it. So that, I mean, it's like if you are good inside, if you're happy inside, you look good outside as well. So it's not just about going to gym. It's all about eating well and doing well.
And you hit the parlor regularly, facials and manicures and pedicures?
Not regularly. I mean, if I have.
Don't be shy.
No, I'm not shy. There's nothing hidden about it. Rather, I mean, my mother makes some packs for me. I use it. That's not an issue. But yeah, I hit salons definitely. Yeah, you do. I do.
Well, I'd like to bring in Shan. You know, you're a young makeup artist and you deal with a lot of people in your line of work. Do you have a lot of men who come to you, and you know, what is your reaction or what is your experience?
Yeah, youngsters, like for their portfolio, they used to come, mostly the young guys. They want so much of makeup sometimes that I believe like more than females sometimes. And even in some places they used to take so much of care, you know. Is this under eyes perfect or is this perfect, you know? And nowadays it's like a trend to shave, to contour the face more. They used to ask so many questions. That's like, really different nowadays.
So, well, you know, you've both spoken about the pressures of looking good and the pressure of looking a certain way, but just young people, you know, what is it that you do, Chandrika?
Yeah, just that please don't do what I did. I mean, don't go in for this crash diet and gym and all that, because nothing is going to happen. Yeah, you need a certain period of time, you know, you have to give yourself that amount of time. If you're going to the gym, definitely go there, you know, on a regular basis, day in, day out, day in, day out.
Have you seen people in your line of work, your friends or colleagues who've taken drastic steps like you did?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I want to mention this. There's this friend of mine who had a nose job done, okay, say around a year back. and she had this, she landed up with a crooked nose after that. So for around 2 or 3 months, she was like that because it was swollen. She couldn't do anything about it. So what happened was she was locked inside her house and she didn't want to go out because she had this problem. She couldn't do another surgery because the doctor told her that you have to get rid of the infection first, and after that only you can do something about it. So it definitely had a very, very bad adverse effect on her.
She had to have another corrective surgery.
Another surgery done, and now probably she's just about okay. But you know, she just tells me that don't ever go in for something like this because it may be good, it may be bad, but what if it turns out to be bad? What after that?
So these decisions should not be taken lightly. They need to be thought out. They need to be, you know, you need to go to the right professionals, and not something you do on a whim.
It's rather a very gradual process. I mean, you just have to think about it. You have to add discipline into your life because discipline is very, very important. I have seen guys going to gym, taking steroids, and just making body in span of days. But what after that? You have to look good for your life. You can't just look good for a year or two. After that, you're gone. So looking good is a very gradual process. You should give good time to yourself. You should add discipline to your life, and definitely it will definitely add on to your good for life.
Absolutely. No, I think one thing that's come out of this conversation is that, you know, okay, looking good is important, looking a certain way is important, but there has to be a healthy way to do it. Drastic steps don't always work, and they could have disastrous impact in the long run. Absolutely. We continue our discussion on the pressures of looking good after just a few moments. Thank you both so much.
Hi, I'm Akshay. I'm in the process of applying for a job. Well, let's say this is a job interview and you're the interviewer. My qualification: I'm a graduate with first division, did my MBA. General knowledge? Ask me a question and I'll probably know the answer. You see, I participate in a lot of quiz contests, debates. You're impressed, probably thinking you'll definitely give me the job. But then, you're certainly not sure. You're wondering if it's too much of a trouble, wheelchair and all. How will I climb the stairs? What if the other employees feel uncomfortable? In fact, I am making you uncomfortable right now. You're probably telling yourself, I may not be so good at the job, right?
Differently abled, not disabled. Different needs, but equal rights.
You see, my legs don't work at all, but my brain, it works pretty well.
First time I came to Delhi and I thought to myself, wow, what a place Delhi is.
Delhi is swinging people, they're more dilwalas.
It's like a very informative, educative center for me.
You can hardly find so much architectural wealth. That's what makes Delhi so special.
Delhi I find a little more relaxed, so I personally quite like it.
I love Connaught Place.
Delhi gives us a lot of peace, it gives us a lot of space, and it gives us one of the best audiences in the world.
Why there's just no place like home. A Crush on Delhi. Sunday morning at 11:30 on NDTV Metro Nation. How you're choosing.
We're going city by city to get your views. Pink for Himesh Reshamya.
The Indian.
I would go for Mr. Karat simply because he knows the right way how to handle the left.
Who makes a billion others proud.
I would go for Rajnikant. He's amazing. And even at this age, delivered such a big hit.
LIC NDTV Indian of the Year.
We come to you from Mumbai.
The Mumbai Round. Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on NDTV 24/7. NDTV Indian of the Year is presented by LIC of India. Zindagi ke saath bhi, zindagi ke baad bhi. In association with HP Pavilion Notebooks. The computer is personal again. State Bank of India. Pure banking, nothing else. And dress code Reed & Taylor.
Welcome back to this Delhi Life. On today's show, we're talking about the pressures of looking good. Our next guest is Sylvie, makeup artist. You have salons all over the country, and you're a celebrity in your own right. You know, we were earlier on talking about you know, small towns and the pressures to look good. But before I go anywhere, I have to tell you that you're handling the pressure to look good very well because you're looking very good. So how do you deal with the pressure?
Thank you. Well, the pressure where I'm concerned went donkeys years ago. Yeah. But today, of course, the youngsters do have this pressure of looking good is because of what they see on screen and what they don't see on screen. What's happening is the media has shown them so much And our television has shown them so much. There's so much of magazines, there's so much of exposure, so that everybody wants to be somebody. Which I think is really not possible. But if they feel if they get near to that somebody, at least they end up looking good. That's the point there. So the pressure is obviously built up a lot, where they want to go to beauty salons, they want to come to us and ask us so many questions. They want the makeup done. The men come to us and ask if they can have, you know, their grooming done and things like that. So there's immense pressure on this beauty topic today, because it's not just the middle class or upper middle class want to look nice, and the lower. There's no such thing as all that. Any and everybody wants to look good.
It's across the board.
It's across the board.
Absolutely. Gender no bar.
Gender is definitely
status,
no bar.
Money no bar.
Money no bar. There's no bar. The bar here is that whether they can achieve that, whether they can actually reach a point or a goal where they really want to look good. And the other thing is that how far they can go without injuring their own bodies. That's another story there too, because if you break all bars and if you break all things and crash course and, you know, things that just say I'm going to look good overnight,
it's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. You know, one thing you brought out, you said, you know, young people or people in general are seeing things on screen, and the pressure is because of what they see and what they don't see. Now you see an Aishwarya Rai or a Sushmita Sen or a Jennifer Lopez looking a certain way, but obviously there's a huge team of people behind that, or who's ensuring that they look a certain way. Now an average person obviously doesn't have that huge team, and you still want to look that way.
Yeah, so that's where the point comes in. They start channelizing, looking now where can I go to, which designer makeup artist, which designer makeup hairdresser, where can I go to lose weight. So they start looking for their own little team, and within themselves they build up this team. Okay, I need to go to A, I need to go to B, I need to go to C, and maybe that's how if I put it together, I can reach somewhere in life with, I mean, somewhere near an Aishwarya Rai or somewhere near Rani or somewhere near Jennifer, you know.
True, but the point is that when you're trying to ape a celebrity, is there not, I mean, I'm sure there's a loss of individuality somewhere. You no longer want to look the best that you can. You want to, like Arpita was mentioning in the previous segment,
yeah, I agree
pressure to look like somebody else.
Of course, I agree. So you lose your own identity, number one. For all you know, your own identity can be much better than the screen image, than somebody on that screen, because there are all different kind of faces, different kind of individualities that we have. So it's not necessary, but the whole idea comes in like that. It begins like that. Arey wo itni sundar lag raha hai, main kyun nahi lag sakta? Something like he's looking so smart. Look at his body. It starts like that. So you see, the whole thing begins with the exposure that they get, and then from there it goes on. I do agree with her that she absolutely right by saying you lose your own identity, because your identity can look much better than the actual person on screen.
I'm sure there are people out there who are saying, oh, I'll make you look like this.
I'm sure they're there. There's no denial to it. And there's no such thing that they're not there. There are all kind of people in this world, and everybody wants to make a fast buck. And there are, of course, a lot of people who are honest and straightforward, and who say
that this is what can be done, and this is what
cannot be done, and don't go overboard. I mean, you like the little girl said out here that somebody went and had a plastic surgery and the nose got more crooked. So, but if there's an honest and a great surgeon out there who will tell them the truth about the whole thing and say that no, it cannot be done more straighter than this, then that's more better. It's better. The person realizes.
The professionals need to be honest and straightforward as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of professionals who are honest and straight about the thing, but the youngsters don't accept it.
Yeah.
That's the point.
So then they look for someone who can show them what they want.
Then they look for somebody else who gives them a false picture, and that false picture they feel can become a real picture, and then they end up being disappointed.
Absolutely. Arpita, I'd like to bring you in at this point. You know, how does one maintain a balance in all of this? You know, there's just so much pressure, and pressure from what you see and what you don't see, like Sylvie was saying.
That's true, and I think it's very difficult, particularly for young people, then to cope with that. And I think, you know, one of the things that people can do is actually really assess risks very clearly. So I think it's perfectly within the rights of every individual to try and get out there and look as good as they want to, but be realistic about those expectations. Absolutely. Things that people can do is start to emphasize on what qualities about them they like, rather than constantly focusing on what they don't like. Then make a plan of what is possible to change within that, and get out there and change that. And what is not possible to change, it's all right. Yeah. And there are so many other things that you can actually like.
Acceptance, a sense of satisfaction, and maybe like Arpita saying, you know, inner beauty, or it may sound cliched, but it is true.
No, it's very true, because you see, I have many young boys and girls who come to my salon and say, they're very beautiful, very, very beautiful. The boys also are beautiful, not just handsome, they're beautiful. And when we tell them, you're so good looking, you don't need anything. No, ma'am, but put a little more shade here and put a little more shade here, and they go on. So then that's the point, a turning point where you have to tell them, listen, you have to get down to realize that you do have good qualities, but you have to bring out those qualities. And how do we do it? That's where we start from. We start grooming them in our school by teaching them that they are actually have the qualities, but they're running away from theirs, trying to ape somebody else. If you start thinking you're groomed, if you start feeling you're groomed from your toes to your top, you automatically feel clean, and when you start feeling clean, you feel good about yourself. So there's nothing overboard about that, but it definitely goes overboard when you try to ape somebody when you already have those good qualities. I don't see, then they're building up their own pressures. You get my point?
Yeah, and the pressures are not always external. Obviously the stimuli may be external, but I think most of the pressures are internalized.
Because it's how you're feeling about you. You may look good without makeup, and yet you want to topo so much of makeup. It makes you look like a Christmas tree, and you don't end up looking nice, and other people don't realize it. But it's sometimes you are beautiful from inside. That's where reality is, actually.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about young people and the pressure on young people to look a certain way. But what about older people and this whole idea of aging gracefully? I think it's just gone downhill. Nobody believes in that anymore.
Here the word
40-year-olds want to look like 20-year-olds.
See, here the gracefully bit comes in. It's I don't see many people who come to my salon who are 40s really want to look 20. They definitely would want to look 30, 30, yes, but not 20. But you can't blame them also. Why not? Because when we have so many things, modern things coming in like Botox and so many things coming into the industry, and when moms who have children who are 10 and 12 and still want to look like young, not mothers, what's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with it. But the problem here remains that if they go to an extreme, if they still want to look like a teenager, then it's a problem. Then it's a big problem, because it's not just the problem on the face or on the cosmetic, it's a problem here.
True.
Am I right? So I think that becomes a problem. But learning to deal with your age individually, it doesn't really matter how good you look and how bad you look. But if you look presentable at 60 and still looking like you're 40, nothing wrong with that. I think that's fair enough in life.
No, absolutely. If Hema Malini can look the way she looks at her age, I mean, we all look at it and say, wow, she looks absolutely awesome.
There's an extreme part of it, darling. There's an extreme part. If you go to the extreme, see, if you go to extreme for anything, I think it's bad. It takes you down the wrong road automatically.
Absolutely.
And then one can get frustrated, one can end up with a lot of frustration. Why am I still not looking like Rani Mukherjee? Why am I still not looking like Shah Rukh? Why am I still not looking like Hrithik? Because after all of 2 years of processing, of 2 years of grooming, of 2 years of paying from their pocket, and their pockets have got big holes, they get disappointed. Rather than that, if they just looked at themselves and just groomed themselves a little bit and just gone into the world that way, I think that would have helped much better.
But have you seen examples of people like this, either in your social circle or in your line of work?
All the time, all the time. In my social circle, especially in my place of work, it's all the time happening. I have mothers coming and tell me, look at my daughter, she's 19, please make me look like I'm just her age.
Arpita, I'd like to bring you in at this point. When we're talking about an older generation wanting to look 20 years younger, the pressure, and obviously it can be very healthy when you're unhealthy, when you're comparing yourself with a 19-year-old daughter, or even trying to compete with your daughter. I mean, I don't know how healthy that can ever be.
It can't be, and I think it's quite obvious that it can't be. I think it reflects the state of the mind of that individual, which is that they're obviously not very comfortable with the place that they're at. So I don't think it's only just about looking good. I think it's a lot more about, the stage of life they're at, how good they're feeling about whatever achievements they may have had in their life. And I think that concept becomes more and more significant as one ages, because obviously when you age there will be certain physical changes that happen that you can't fight, but what you can fight is a lot of other aspects of your personality. For example, there might be some really important life goals that you've met, maybe the fact that you brought up a daughter who's as wonderful as she might be, or you've had certain significant achievements at the workplace. So I think those concepts go into making you feel very full as an individual, and then you might not be so impacted by the physical component.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But one other trend in Delhi that is happening is infidelity, and people are just looking left, right all the time, and maybe these insecurities are leading men and women to look a certain way as well. I mean, I don't know. You probably have more experience in the sense because you socialize with a lot more people, and you interact with a lot more people, and women come to you, men come to you with problems and wanting to look 19.
infidelity is a subject. It's a subject. It's a vast subject. It's a thing. That
We're not getting into that. But as a trigger to wanting to look.
Well, it's not really. They don't really come with the idea of going to a party to be infidel. But the point out here is they go to a party to look their best so that somebody maybe 10 years younger to look at them. Maybe that could be a point now. That's a serious point out here. But definitely not the other way around, like the way I said, definitely not. But you do get, I do get a lot of men, women and above 40 who come and say, Sylvie, do some light makeup. I want to look gracious, I want to look nice. It's my party, I'm hosting the party tonight. And I've got a very mixed crowd coming in. Now, definitely not, she doesn't have anything on her mind, such as infidelity and things like that. She definitely wants to look good because she wants her party people to say, you look a lovely host tonight. She definitely wants that compliment to come. And if that doesn't come, she feels a very, oh, I didn't look my best, I didn't do my best. So they do come in to do their makeup, they do come to have a special hairdo. In fact, nowadays it's a lot more, I mean, it's a bigger thing.
Are there a lot of people who are getting cosmetic surgery done as well, in your experience?
Not many have come to my salon. I think we have a doctor who will give you better advice on that.
Absolutely, we'll be talking to him after the break.
Not many have come to me, but many have come to me and asked me about Botox, for sure. Many have come and asked me, Sil, do you know anything about Botox, do you know anything about that? And me having a doctor background, I'm not really up to the mark.
You were a surgeon for many years.
Yes, exactly. But I'm not really up to the mark with today's surgery because I never ever thought of advising anybody. I've always told people age gracefully. If they're coming the wrinkles, let it come. In fact, I was just having a conversation with your doctor down there, and I tell him maybe down the road I may need you.
Yeah. let's network and keep his number in place.
Yes, I'm going to do that. But honestly, when the women come to me, they ask me, say, "Is it really? Do you think I need one?" I honestly tell them, no. You look the way you look, it's fabulous. You have that lovely glowing skin. Just keep it up, drink a lot of water, keep giving them advice.
So natural health is what you recommend.
It's the best thing,
live healthy.
Live healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to take a short break, and as Sylvie mentioned, we're going to talk to a doctor and see what are the latest trends in cosmetic surgery these days.
Change. I want scale. I want macro thinking. I want international expertise. I want global lifestyles. I want no promises. I want no compromises. I want quality beyond the finest. I want benchmarks above the highest. I am the new India, and I want to make this dream real. MRMGF, creating a new India.
भाई मैं खुले में करने का शौक नहीं है, समझ गए आप? ये हिंदुस्तान है, हिंदुस्तान। आदमी पे ना तरह तरह के प्रेशर होते हैं, प्रेशर में आके करना पड़ जाता है। अब हर चीज़ तो आपके हाथ में होती नहीं है ना, ये तो नेचुरल है। नहीं आप बताइए, आपके ऊपर प्रेशर पड़ेगा तो क्या कंट्रोल कर लोगे? करना पड़ेगा, हालात ही ऐसे हो जाते हैं कभी कभी। ये पूरे आज के पब्लिक प्लेस में शो करने वालों को लाइन पे लाने का रेड FM 93.5 द्वारा। बजाते रहो।
First time I came to Delhi and I thought to myself, wow, what a place Delhi is.
Delhi is swinging people, they're more dilwalas.
It's like a very informative, educative center for me.
You can hardly find so much architectural wealth. That's what makes Delhi so special.
Delhi I find a little more relaxed, so I personally quite like it.
I love Connaught Place.
Delhi gives us a lot of peace, it gives us a lot of space, and it gives us one of the best audiences in the world.
Why there's just no place like home. A Crush on Delhi. Sunday morning at 11:30 on NDTV Metro Nation.
Welcome back to this Delhi Life. We've got when the pressure to look good leads you to cosmetic surgery. Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this segment. And we have Dr. Aditya Agarwal, who is a consultant in the Department of Plastic and Cosmetic Surgery at Gangaram Hospital. What has your experience been like? You know, I mean, plastic surgery, of course, is another issue altogether, but cosmetic surgery is becoming bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think over the last 2-3 years, things have changed quite dramatically in the sense that plastic surgery has become more accessible to people. It's the downtime has become very less in terms of the recovery time. You have Botox, as Sylvie said, you have fillers, you have thread lifts. So these are the procedures which can be done during the lunch time and you can go back to work. Right. So these are the things which have actually changed the actual cosmetic surgery practice. Obviously, there are certain patients or certain people who require some sort of a cosmetic surgery done to either enhance their career prospects or maybe feel more confident. But we do get a percentage of patients who are obsessed with their looks. Now, I think Arpita also pointed it out, if it's an obsession, then we have to be very wary about these patients. We actually go through them with 2 or 3 consultations before we take them up for surgery, and occasionally we ask them to see a clinical psychologist.
Before you...
Yeah, before we actually operate on them, because there are a group of patients who are obsessed in getting that particular look or getting repeated surgeries done. So that's where the...
What is the age group of people like this who may be obsessed with how they're looking?
I think in India, we still get patients who are, or the girls who are going to get married, the parents bring them to us.
So it's the parents putting on the pressure.
Parents in case of young girls. But I think with the increase in the income which young people have now because of the call center culture, you have more of disposable income at their hands. So they can come, they usually come alone as well. But it's a very, you can say, wide range of age group, ranging from 60 to 70 years. So there's no one particular
age group of people that's
going
coming to you?
Going up till 50, 55, depending on what is the requirement and what kind of surgeries they want.
So what are the usual requests that you're bombarded with on a regular basis?
See, the most commonly done procedures, as I also said, is a nose job, and we do a lot of liposuctions.
Okay.
And nowadays we use a lot of Botox, fillers, and thread lifts.
Like you just said, which are literally lunchtime procedures.
Yeah, lunchtime procedures. The downtime is very, very, very less. You don't need to be in a hospital. You can get these works done in an office setting, and you go back after the procedure, and you can lead your normal life.
Absolutely. But what about hash jobs like Chandrika was mentioning, a doctor just completely boshed up?
I think the most important thing is that you need to do your homework before you approach a doctor. Yeah. And you need to see his qualifications. You need to see what kind of a hospital or a facility he's working.
So there are quacks out there.
There are a lot of unqualified people doing these kind of jobs. And the other thing is that you need to assess and maybe see 2 different plastic surgeons or 2 different surgeons before you actually decide on one. Because that gives you a better perspective and you feel more confident with one particular surgeon before you get the job done. So I think it's very important that, accidents do happen. I would be lying if I said, surgeries can go wrong. But then if you take a right pick and make a good choice,
percentage of that is very
it's a risk-reward ratio. You're still driving in a car, you're traveling in the car. Just because accidents happen, we don't stop traveling in a car.
Absolutely. So you're just saying that it needs to be a more thought-out decision rather than an impulsive one, and do your homework well. Well, we spoke to some people about it. Let's see what they had to say.
If you really take care of yourself, initially doing small things, taking, cleaning your face, putting up moisturizers, doing all that, I don't think you actually need to go for surgeries and all those things. Somewhere or the other, it has some kind of side effects.
I feel that there's absolutely no harm in looking good because presentation matters a lot. But taking it to an extreme level, going under the knife is a little too much, I feel. And, looking good is not only about being good looking, but you can also wear good clothes and look smart. So people should look presentable, but not take it too far.
Well, nobody seems to accept it on camera, but it is done, it does happen, and it is increasing, like you said, over the past couple of years.
Yeah, that's very true. I think in the last 2 years, I would have seen maybe 3-fold increase in the cosmetic procedures I am undertaking. And the fact still remains that there are certain group of surgeries which can benefit, certain people if it's done in the right way. Even after you exercise, you take good diet control, there are certain areas where the fat may not go away. So these are the group of people who can be helped by liposuction, or there are patients who have problem like a nose job if it's not fitting their lifestyle in terms of their work profile, like people who are in the media or are in the industry where presentation is an important aspect.
So what is the most unusual request you've had?
we have had a request for complete changeover. I have had patients who have brought magazines with them of the film stars and wanting them to be made like that. Even surgically, it's not possible. They come and see the movies and they say, okay, no,
I want
in the
to
movie,
look like
yeah, they change the look. I said, look, that was real life.
Yeah.
This is a real life.
This is real
so
life.
there's a lot of difference in that. I can work on that nose and give you a better shape.
And money is no consideration if they want to look.
Sometimes it is. We get a lot of patients who are middle class or non middle class. They have a constraint as regards the finances as well. But as I said, there are certain things which the patients would save money for 2-3 years to get it done. If it is so.
Especially if it's a daughter's marriage, like you're saying, and these kind of procedures.
Exactly. But we always need to tell them that you need to understand the risks and you need to sort of, think it over. It's not that you come to me and I just do the procedure.
Arpita, I'd like to bring you in briefly at this point. You said that, going under cosmetic surgery, obviously it's for someone who's been teased their whole life about a fat nose or something, it could give them a sense of confidence. But on the other hand, if you're going in for a surgery every 6 months or a year because you're not feeling good about yourself, then it's obviously a problem.
That's true, and I think that as far as you're careful about looking at what are the possible implications of that surgery, then that's fine. But I think the only thing that we really need to take into consideration is that before you actually opt for something as serious as that, is there really no other way in which you can get to the point of feeling good about yourself? And if you really exhaust everything else and say there's absolutely nothing but this that will help me feel better, then that's fine. But I think it's also very important, and as Dr. Agarwal pointed out, that sometimes it's very useful for people like that to be assessed by mental health professionals to ensure that there is no underlying conditions that are playing out or no self-esteem issues that will continue to play out, because the nose job will be done, but the self-esteem will be as low as ever. So that will play out in a new way and a new form. So it's important to basically just address the root cause of what the problem might be. The physical thing might only be a manifestation of something else that's underlying.
The rate is not that high, I mean, for all the aspiring models who get into the trade, very few make it as big as some of
That's right.
some
That's
of the people who
absolutely right.
have.
Yeah, we tell them, see, I get at least 120 pitches every day. 120 portfolios every day. Out of them, I think 3 or 4 of them, I think they can actually become a good model or something. Otherwise, we tell them or email them, we can call them, please take your pictures back.
So you are realistic about your expectations, and you don't show a false picture to these young people.
Because we are answerable to them at the end of the day. Because they keep on calling us, okay, we have given the pictures 2 months back, there's no work happening and all that. So we need to answer them. Absolutely. So I tell them right from the very first day that this can happen, this cannot happen.
Absolutely. Dr. Agarwal, we were talking about, said there are different classes of people from different social stratas, and they still come in and get procedures done. What are the average prices, for say liposuction or a nose job? What are the average rates that one would, pay?
See, firstly, it depends on where you're getting the job done. The rates can vary, but if you go to a bigger hospital, they have prescribed rates. So a nose job would cost around about 45,000 bucks. Liposuction again depends on what areas you need to address. If it's a liposuction just around the belly, then it may take around about 40,000. If it requires multiple thighs, the arms, the back, then it may cost about 75 to 80,000 bucks. So it all depends, what kind of procedure they are looking for and the amount of surgical intervention that is required.
Sylvia, I'd like to come to you. We're talking about cosmetic surgery reaching a point where people are offering EMI, kind of payment options to get surgery done.
As I said before, there are a lot of quacks out there. There are a lot of people who just want to make a fast buck. You can go and have your hair cut for a certain amount. You can go anywhere and have it cut for not even 1/4 the amount.
Yeah,
it's just like that in surgery. It's just like that in every field for a matter. But the fact is that if one does their homework properly, then it's not the EMI really that won't matter to that particular person.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for them or would like to make a comment on what they feel about, the pressure to look good in college? Is there a pressure to wear certain clothes on, first day of college? Is there a lot of pressure to look a certain way?
No, there are lots of people coming to you for getting Botox done. So I want to know what kind of side effects does it have? I mean, can one recommend it to people who are asking us for advice?
See, that's what I said, Gopika. I think the most important thing is, the first thing is whether they require it or not. And the second thing would be that they need to know it's a temporary procedure. You need to get it repeated every 6 months to 9 months time.
But isn't that a good thing? Because then you know whether you want to live with it.
That's the good thing about it, because even if it goes wrong, you know that once this time period is over, the person is back to his normal self. But as I said, it's important to target the right amount of muscles, and they need to know the facts. See, normally Botox, the quantities we use and the amount of Botox we use is far below the critical concentration which can cause any side effects in the human body, because Botox is scientifically being used in a lot of other certain medical conditions where the amount of Botox used is maybe 10 times what we use for the face or to improve your frown lines. So if that is a concern, then I think the most important point would be that they need to go to the right person and have their facts right.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Agarwal, you were mentioning that of course we need to do our homework, we need to do our research and think through why we're getting surgery done. But can you narrate an example of someone who's actually benefited? Somebody who was having a tough time or didn't have enough self-confidence, who got a procedure done and was happy with it.
Yeah, I think especially it's true for people who have scars, bad scars over the face, or people who have a nose which doesn't look right on them. If you see them, the nose is the only thing which stands out and doesn't look good on them. So I think these group of patients would definitely benefit from cosmetic surgery, or what we also call as a corrective or a reconstructive surgery. So it's part reconstructive, part cosmetic, because you're trying to improve what the person already has.
Absolutely.
And so I think we have had a lot of patients like that
who benefited
from this,
and I guess they get a sense of confidence from from looking good, and like Arpita said through the show, there's no harm in looking good, and everyone's entitled to look the best they can, but as long as there's a fair balance and we realize that we're not going into the extreme, I think we can manage the pressure to look good fairly well. That's all we have for you on today's show. If you have any feedback, please write into feedback@ndtv.com and keep watching This Telly Life.